You're listening to the Cool Audio Podcast, your escape into the world of stories, sounds, and imagination. Whether you're driving, chilling at home, or just need a moment to unplug, we've got a story just for you. So sit back, relax, and let the journey begin. Sister Chloe, do you have time to have dinner with us tomorrow night? It came from Zuri. Chloe was surprised since she wasn't very close to Zuri. Is it a special occasion? Sister Chloe, Case and I got remarried. Congratulations. Chloe had heard Victoria mention it but didn't ask for the details. We'd like to invite you guys to dinner. Oh, that's a good thing. Just send me the restaurant address and time. We sincerely invite you and President Dawson to come, Zuri added. Okay, we'll be there. In the evening of the next day, at the invitation of Zuri and Case, the friends came to a private restaurant that the Chase family owned. The location was in the suburbs, but the renovation was classy. Case chose this place to avoid reporters since the media had been following their scandal for a long time. In the compartment, the guests included Jack, Chloe, Justin, Anne, Max, and Avery. Noah wasn't familiar with Case, so he and Sarah didn't come, but Brenton and his wife were late. Shall I call Mr. Blake? Max said. No, my brother might not come. Zuri sounded uncertain. After all, Brenton had objected the most adamantly against her remarrying Case. Then the door opened, and Victoria entered, but she was alone. Sister-in-law, where's my brother? Zuri hurried over to take Victoria's bag. Oh, he had to return to the company to deal with something and told us not to wait for him. Victoria was subtle, but everyone knew that it was only an excuse. Brenton just didn't want to come. Case glanced at Victoria a bit embarrassedly. Sister Blake, please sit down. Don't call me that. Since you two are back together, you must call me sister-in-law as Zuri does. Dr. Victoria was always open-minded. During the dinner, the atmosphere was quite lively. Case hadn't eaten with the others for a long while, but Chloe and Jack showed their support by coming earlier than the appointed time. They drank a lot and began to chat lively. Even Justin, a man of no nonsense, couldn't stop babbling. With one arm around Case's neck, he said drunkenly, Brother, I tell you, it's truly difficult for you to meet someone you like and likes you back, so you must cherish it. You guys have known each other most of your lives, playing with each other since you were children. You two are destined to be together. Cherish the second chance you have. I will, Mr. Cooper. Case listened to him earnestly. Old Chase, don't listen to Mr. Cooper. He's drunk, and tomorrow he won't even remember what he says now. Max's words made everyone laugh. BS, I'm very sober, Justin retorted. Mr. Cooper, we're all settled down. You're the only single guy among us. You're not qualified to lecture us on love. Only Max dared to mock Justin to his face. I'll settle down soon. It sounds like you have a girlfriend? Max teased him. However, Anne felt his boss wasn't himself tonight. He looked cheerful, but wasn't truly happy. Of course, it's easy for me. There are lots of women in my Imperial Star. Justin looked drunk, and the others didn't know if he was serious or just joking. Anyway, they enjoyed their dinner. On their way back, Anne drove the car while Justin lounged on the passenger seat. He rested with closed eyes and didn't speak. But Anne knew his boss wasn't asleep. When they got home, Justin took off his coat and lay on the sofa. President Cooper, do you want me to bring you a glass of warm water? Justin waved his hand. I know you're not drunk, Anne added. Yeah, you know me. Of course, I've worked for you for many years, Anne grinned. Maybe we can live together. No, I don't like men, Anne refused without hesitation. With a chuckle, Justin sat up and leaned on the arm of the sofa. Looking at Anne, he said, What are you thinking about? I meant we live as companions. Look at your ugly face. How can I choose you? With things on his mind, Justin couldn't sleep. He took out his cell phone to browse the news, Weibo, and Moments. On WeChat Moments, Pudding and Little Bean each posted an update. Today they bought new dresses which were pretty golden evening dresses. Little Bean was not skillful with selfies, so her face looked big, but her chubby face still looked cute. Pudding was good at choosing angles for selfies, and with the effects of a photo editing app, she looked like a super beauty. Justin liked them both, but didn't leave any comments. It was 11:30 in the night, and suddenly Melody posted an update. It said, "The truth is that not every girl loves money. Some kind-hearted girls love animals. For example, I like Land Rovers, BMWs, Jaguars, Hummers, and Bugatti Veyrons, etc." Justin chuckled, amused by the words, even though it was an old joke. On a whim, he left a comment below her update. "If you get first place in the dance show, I'll give you one of the animals in your list as a gift." Seeing this comment, Melody was extremely excited. She replied immediately, "President Cooper, are you serious?" Justin, "Of course. When have I gone back on my words?" Melody, "Good, good, good. Then I want a Bugatti Veyron." Justin, "Your taste is unique." Melody, No. I chose it because it's the most expensive. Haha. Justin, "Fine, you win." Melody, "If I win, you'll truly buy it for me?" She asked again to make certain that he was serious. Justin, "Of course, but if you get eliminated this week, you'll work for me without pay for 1 year." Damn it. You revealed your true colors of a capitalist. Did you think I'd let you have the car for free? Good luck, little money lover. Justin joked with her lightly and didn't take to heart Anne's report that she had intended to kiss him. "President Cooper, are you hungry? I'll treat you to a night meal." Melody was too excited to sleep. In fact, she wasn't hungry. She just wanted to see Justin. "I'll go if you invite me to Ocean Royal Court," Justin replied. "President Cooper, you're heartless. As a big boss, how can you treat a small employee like me in this way? How can I afford a meal in Ocean Royal Court?" "Then go to sleep and stop talking." Justin had no interest to say more to her. He tossed the cell phone to one side and sighed lightly. "President Cooper, something's on your mind?" And knew his boss wasn't himself today. "And what gift shall I prepare for our Dr. Green's wedding?" Justin finally said in a low voice. He sounded melancholic. "Huh? Will Dr. Green have a wedding?" Anne was surprised because he hadn't heard a word about it. "Yeah." Anne was astonished, but Justin only replied with a yeah. But Anne knew him well. The calmer he looked, the more turbulent he felt inside. Instead of boiling water to make tea, Anne walked over and asked, "President Cooper, who told you this? Was it President Green?" "No, Chloe would never provoke me with this. I overheard it from Max's wife." "Miss Avery? Then, it's probably true." Justin smiled but didn't speak. "Has the wedding date been determined?" "I don't think they'll have it in the near future. President Green is big with babies now and wouldn't want to wear a wedding gown in her current condition," Anne mumbled. "It's said they'll have the wedding 1 month after the boy is born." "Oh, it will be very soon. She looks like she'll be in labor soon." And didn't know the stuff about baby birth, but he thought Chloe had been pregnant long enough to have the baby soon. "Boss, don't be sad. You've known President Green will have the wedding sooner or later. Besides, she'll have another baby soon." "I'm not sad. I'm happy. I'm happy for her." As Justin said the words, bitterness rose in his heart. He didn't know why he was so sentimental. On the other day when he ate out with Max and his wife, he overheard Avery mention that Chloe was choosing a wedding gown. Justin had felt bad instantly. It wasn't unhappiness, but he wasn't happy either. Only he himself knew how complicated his feelings were. In fact, he had known Jack and Chloe's wedding was postponed by Andrew's scheme. Now that their third child was about to come, Jack must be considering giving her a wedding. After all, Jack loved her too much not to do it. But for some reason, whenever Justin thought of Chloe putting on a wedding gown to be married to another man, he'd feel an unnamed sorrow. He knew the sorrow came from the fact that he was still deeply in love with her. He had never changed his love in the past years. Everyone thought that Justin had moved on, but he knew his love for her would only go deeper as time went. Seeing the sorrow in his boss, Anne felt bad. "President Cooper, maybe we can find an excuse to leave the city before President Green's wedding. Didn't you say you want to go to Finland and see the Aurora Borealis? I'll go with you." "Forget it. How can I not attend Chloe's wedding? I want to see her happiness." Justin's smile was bitter. He wouldn't have dared to say these words to Max and the others because it was immoral to love a married woman. He could only talk about it with Anne and gain some comfort. "Boss, seeing you like this makes me sad." and didn't have any academic background, but he knew Justin treated him like a family member in the past years. He was sad to see Justin's sorrow. "I'm fine. I'm just wondering what gift I shall give Chloe for her wedding." Justin's voice got smaller, and he closed his eyes slowly, falling asleep under the effects of the wine he had taken. With a lump in his throat, Anne pulled a blanket over Justin. He hadn't understood how Justin felt, but after he fell in love with Fiona, he began to know the suffering that came from unrequited love. Fiona was an unreachable goddess for him, while Chloe was an unreachable moon for Justin. Meanwhile, in a beach town off the Atlantic Ocean. "Psycho Riker, what gift shall I give to my sister for her wedding?" "I think the best gift for her is another wedding," Riker said slowly. "What do you mean?" "I mean we have a double wedding with Sister Chloe's." "Haha, then my wedding will be ruined by explosions. After all, I have so many enemies." Fiona took it as a joke and laughed carelessly. What she said was true. Fiona was the target of many people, and she was afraid to reveal her whereabouts. If she had a high-profiled wedding, then hell would break out. Fiona had never imagined that she'd have a wedding, so she laughed at Riker's suggestion, taking it as a joke. However, Riker had a lump in his throat when he heard her words. How could he have the right to say he loved her when he couldn't even give her a wedding, which was a simple thing for ordinary people? Putting down the Russian book he was reading, he walked to Fiona's side and held her gently in his arms from behind. "Fiona, I will give you a wedding in broad light." Fiona looked surprised, and then she smiled warmly. "Okay, I'll stay alive until that day comes." Inside Case's house, Tierney had left 3 days ago. Case had asked a teacher of the school to pick her up, and he had packed many clothes for the kid. Capital City wasn't far compared with a foreign country. Case was a bit sentimental, but Tierney didn't cry. Instead, she was quite happy and took her favorite dolls and clothes with her. After paying the expensive tuition and putting enough aside for 1 year's worth of life expenditures, Case gave Tierney's mentor a credit card. Of course, the teacher wouldn't dare to use it more than necessary since all the transactions had records. After they registered for marriage again, Case and Zuri invited their friends to have dinner in a low-profiled manner. Brenton didn't attend the dinner, but he relented and let Victoria go. In the study. While Case handled the files he had brought home from the company, Zuri kept him company and worked on a design schematic on her laptop. After Tierney was gone, the last obstacle between them was removed. Getting back together, they cherished the second chance they had. "Zuri, are you tired?" Case looked at her. Zuri shook her head. "Do you want me to get you a cup of coffee?" "I'll get it when I want it. Go back to your work." Case nodded. Then he remembered something and said, "Tomorrow is the 3rd day after our marriage. According to tradition, I must go and visit your family." "It doesn't matter. You go to work and I'll go home and see them. My parents are not angry now." "Please don't. I can't break tradition. I'll go with you. I've prepared some gifts for them, and we'll bring them to your family." "Okay." Zuri was happy that Case thought of everything from her perspective. After they finished their work, it was midnight and time to go to bed. In fact, they hadn't slept together after they remarried. More specifically, they hadn't been intimate physically for years after they divorced years ago. They were caught together in a hotel by the media, but it was because Zuri was drugged and Case gave her a cold bath. Later, when Zuri moved into his house, she had slept in the main bedroom while Case took the guest bedroom due to the presence of the kid. But now any obstacle standing between them was cleared. "Zuri, have a shower and go to bed." "How about you?" Zuri glanced at him. "Maybe. I'll still use the guest bedroom?" Case said bashfully. "You'll sleep in the guest bedroom for the rest of your life?" Zuri looked at him, amused. Fine. If you're so noble, you can continue sleeping in the guest bedroom. I'll lock my room from the inside." Zuri entered the main bedroom and turned to lock the door, but Case followed her and squeezed into the room. "What are you doing?" Zuri looked up at him. "I want to sleep here," Case said earnestly. Zuri blushed. "I thought you liked sleeping in the guest bedroom." "No, I don't. In fact, I've wanted to come here, but I was afraid you'd kick me out." "Silly." Zuri was both amused and piqued. Suddenly, Case pushed her to the thick carpet. Hey, what are you doing? Doing homework. Case sounded impatient. I haven't taken a shower yet. Wait until I take a shower. Zuri was caught by surprise. A shower can wait. Hearing the gentle words, Zuri fell into the magic moment and flew with Case to the top of the world. South Hill Manor. After breakfast, Chloe and Jack left their house and got into a car together. Besides prenatal checks, shopping, and meeting friends, Chloe spent most of her time going to the company with Jack. The door is less than 20 meters from the car, but Daddy still held Mommy's hand. Humph. Little Bean was a bit jealous. If you dare, you can tell Daddy to ignore Mommy. Pudding dared her. BS. Why don't you do it? If I did, I'd get a chili treatment. You know the two of us combined are not as important as Mommy in Daddy's heart. No, you're wrong. We and the baby in Mommy's belly combined are not as important as Mommy, Pudding corrected her. Yeah, how dare I say that? Then stop mumbling behind their backs. Their PDA is too much for me. I've got to tell Ethan. Little Bean picked up her cell phone to video chat with Ethan. Pudding sat on the sofa and watched the news. She never fought with others over the TV and would watch whatever the others chose to watch. She'd watch scholars' lectures with her grandpa and 8 p.m. family dramas with her grandma. When her daddy came home, she'd watch financial news with him. When her mommy watched programs about medicine, she'd watch them with her mommy. When Little Bean wanted to watch Peppa Pig and Super Wings, Pudding would watch them with her too. So everyone in the family praised Pudding for being a good-natured little girl. Today the twins didn't have class in the morning, so they played at home. While Little Bean harassed Ethan on her cell phone, Pudding sat with her grandpa to watch an antique authentication program. Her grandma put some fruits before them and went to the kitchen to prepare dumplings for lunch with the housemaid. This thing is good. It's no longer seen in the market. Her grandpa appreciated a wooden carved antique in the program. Grandpa, you like it? Yeah, I like it. It would be very nice to have tea on it. But your dad doesn't like it and said it's vulgar, Jack's father said with a chuckle. Pudding picked up her cell phone and made a call. Hanging up in a few minutes, she said, Grandpa, I've bought it for you. Where did you get this? Goodies like this usually end up at folk markets. Once it's deemed authentic, it would be sold or auctioned off. Some traders save it for the right buyer. I actually know a friend in the auction business. When I called, he said the piece was still available. It'll be delivered at around noon today. Jack's father was speechless. Up until right this moment, he always treated Pudding like a child. Never did he think that his granddaughter would buy something so rare and expensive for him, just because he said he liked it while watching some TV show. All Pudding did was call a friend? She has friends in the auction business? What kind of world was he living in? She was still a toddler. Pudding, how much did you spend on it? Grandpa Dawson was aware how pricey wooden carvings could be. Plus, the one Pudding just showed him was a one-piece carving. It wasn't much, Pudding said nonchalantly. How much is not much? The expert appraisal is $17 million. My friend gave me a discount. I bought it for $15 million. $15 million? Grandpa Dawson stood up in shock. Although he was a rich businessman and has been wealthy all his life, he retired a long time ago and hasn't dealt with large sums of money in years. They had some expensive pieces at home, but Jack and Chloe were the ones who brought them home. Last month, he went antiquing with an old friend and saw a bead bracelet. It cost $600,000, but he didn't buy it. Therefore, imagine how flabbergasted he was to hear that his daughter bought him a $15 million wooden carving in the span of a minute. Pudding, that's too expensive. Call your friend to return it. Grandpa Dawson didn't want to spend so much money on a single piece of wood. Grandpa, I rarely hear you so excited about anything. The money's not important. If it'll make you happy, I'll buy you anything, even if it costs $15 billion. After hearing Pudding's words, Grandpa Dawson was on the verge of tears. I'm so lucky to have such a good granddaughter in my life. Grandpa, don't worry. I bought this for you with the money I made in the stock market. I didn't ask Daddy or the company for money. You don't have to feel bad. Still, money is money. You worked hard to earn it. It's worth it, as long as you're happy. Let's have some tea, Grandpa. Okay, let's make the tea your daddy brought home last week. Okay. Those upstairs overheard the conversation between Pudding and Grandpa Dawson. Grandma Dawson said to Little Bean on purpose. Look at how good your sister is at making your grandpa happy. I bet she's worried we won't pay attention to her once your brother is born. Look at you. All you do every day is video chat, Ethan. Aren't you worried that we won't love you anymore? That will never happen, Little Bean answered with a laugh. How so? Grandma Dawson teased. Because I have my daddy's blood in my veins. You guys will have no choice but to love me. Grandma Dawson burst out in laughter. Little Bean really did have a point. She even went downstairs to tell Grandpa Dawson and Pudding what Little Bean said to her. Grandpa Dawson laughed. Little Bean sure is a smart one. Who said she was emotionally blunt? Don't get me wrong, she's not emotionally blunt at all. She's just not as sensitive as I am. Pudding laughed as well. GK headquarters. Chloe fell asleep on the couch inside the office. After putting a blanket over her, Jack went back to work until it was lunchtime. Chloe woke up at noon feeling famished. Honey, I'm starving. Can we get some food at the cafeteria? I'll take you somewhere else today. Jack smiled mysteriously as he reached out to help Chloe up. Chloe knew that her husband's smile meant that something awesome was about to happen. Jack only smiled like that when he was about to surprise her. They had been together long enough that Chloe could now predict a lot of what was going on in his mind. So, she skipped the process of asking questions and just let Jack lead the way. Soon, they arrived at a GK-owned Chinese restaurant in the heart of downtown. After arriving on the top floor, the manager guided them through a long hallway. Come with me, Mr. and Mrs. Dawson. Are they here? Jack asked nonchalantly. They're waiting for you inside, the manager responded with a smile. Okay. Jack nodded. As they arrived outside the door, he stopped in his tracks and asked Chloe, Do you know who's in there? The latter shook her head. Why don't you find out? With that, Chloe gently pushed open the door and shrieked in excitement when she saw who they were. Rick, Cece! She ran up to them despite her large belly. Cece, who was pregnant herself, immediately shot up to give Chloe a giant bear hug. Jack sat down next to Rick with a smile on his face. How was your flight? Good. Rick was the only person in the world who spoke less than Jack. He rarely made small talk and was always to the point. Cece, you're about to pop, aren't you? Chloe looked at Cece's belly, which was almost as big as her own. My due date is right after yours. That's amazing. Isn't it a lot for your body to ride a plane so close to your third trimester? How are you supposed to go back? Chloe was experienced in OB/GYN, so she knew that pregnant women weren't supposed to be on a plane during their third trimester in case something happened during the flight due to turbulence or pressure. She was surprised that Cece and Rick flew all the way from the U.S. That was a 12-hour flight. I don't plan on leaving this time. I want to give birth here. What? Chloe exclaimed in surprise. She looked over at Rick, assuming that Cece was joking. Our country is a medically advanced country in a lot of ways. Plus, I'm always traveling around, so I don't want to leave her alone. She has more friends here anyways. That's awesome! Chloe grabbed Cece's hand, elated by their news. Have you decided how you want to give birth? I want to give birth naturally. I'm still young and I exercise a lot. I even do pregnant yoga, so it makes more sense to go through natural birth. Damn, you're still so young. I'm like a high-risk pregnant lady. Chloe laughed as she patted her chest. Chloe, are you going to have a C-section? I'm not sure yet. We'll have to see. Chloe had been wondering the same thing. Halfway through lunch, Cece and Chloe went to the washroom, leaving Jack and Rick alone inside the private room. Jack toyed with Rick's lighter as he asked in a low voice, How are things in the States? Tense? The fact that Rick brought his wife and unborn child back to the country meant that things were bad in the U.S. Yeah. Do you need help? Not yet, but I will ask if I need it. How long do you plan on staying? Jack tilted his head. 2 or 3 days. I need to go to Colombia afterwards to check on the merchandise. Don't you have enemies in Colombia? I do, so I actually do need a favor for you. Can you ask Fiona to make a shipment for me? You want Fiona's help? Jack was surprised. Rick rarely asked him for help, let alone others. So why was he asking for Fiona's help all of a sudden? Did he wake up on the wrong side of bed this morning? Rick nodded his head. You wouldn't ask for Fiona's help if you weren't in trouble, Jack stated. You're right. I am in a bit of a pickle. The drug lord in Colombia hired a mercenary named Caslias. He's the head of a terrorist organization, and he and his team kill people without blinking. The truth is, he's killed a lot of my men, and I haven't been able to find his weak point. Of course, I would hunt him down myself, but Cece's about to give birth, so I'm not sure what else I can do at this point. So you want Fiona to get rid of Caslias? Jack finished Rick's thought. Apparently, Caslias is terrified of Fiona. Once she even punctured his lung and he almost died. I don't think Fiona would want to deal with someone who's already lost to her. Jack smiled. I won't ask her to do it for free. Of course I'll pay her. If you know what to do, why not ask her yourself? Jack asked on purpose. But she'll give me a discount if you ask for me, Rick said, looking as if he had been wronged. Jack couldn't help but laugh out loud. So you're asking me to haggle for you? The men continued chatting inside the private room, while the ladies had some quality girl talk in the washroom at the end of the hall. Chloe, I'm not only here to give birth, we also wanted to come to your wedding. Chloe smiled happily upon hearing this. Chloe, how's wedding planning going? I just started. Plus, I can't wear a wedding dress now, so the wedding's not happening until after I give birth. But don't worry, you'll definitely be able to come, since you'll be in the country from now on. Mm-hmm, Cece responded as she dried off her hands. Cece. Yeah? How's your sister doing? Last time Chloe saw Kira was on the boat during her birthday party. Cece's eyes dimmed. She's been depressed ever since she found out that she was hypnotized and almost injured Justin. You know she's loved him for years. But it's not her fault, she was manipulated, Chloe responded in consolation. That's what I told her, but she won't listen and kept saying that it was her fault. She stopped going to school and won't even come hang out with me in New Orleans. Her manager ended up taking her to California, but she's still not doing well. She barely even calls me. Give her some more time. I'm sure she'll get better. Chloe liked Kira Nee and thought that she was gentle and tamed. Of course, these qualities weren't good for Justin, because he needed someone who could tame him. Justin was a ball of flames. Someone like him needs a woman who could engulf his flames with flames of her own. I think so, too. Oh, how's Justin's doing? Does he have a girlfriend yet? Nope. So maybe my sister still has a chance? Cece smiled haplessly, although she knew the chances of her sister ending up with Justin were extremely slim. He'll have to get married sooner or later. I'm sure he won't end up alone, Chloe answered. She was either predicting the future or making a promise for Justin. Chloe, tell me the truth. He still loves you, doesn't he? Cece asked in a gentle voice. She knew Chloe didn't like talking about this topic. Chloe opened her mouth to answer, but was interrupted by a loud knocking at the bathroom door. It was one of her bodyguards. Ma'am, are you still in there? We're still here, Chloe immediately responded. Mr. Dawson is worried about you and Miss Cece, so he asked me to come to check up on you guys. We're fine. We'll be right back. Without wasting another second, Chloe and Cece headed back to the private room. Of course, Rick and Jack were worried. These pregnant women were the loves of their lives. They ate and chatted for another 2 hours before leaving. Rick sent Cece back to her parents' place. Like Chloe, she had a dozen bodyguards protecting her. Chloe and Jack, on the other hand, went back to GK. That afternoon, Thomas suddenly barged into Jack's office. Sis, Jack! What's wrong? Why are you in such a rush? Chloe placed down her book and looked at Thomas. He looked like someone had lit his pants on fire. Mom just called. Slow down and breathe. Jack closed his laptop and looked calmly at Thomas. I ran all the way here. Woo, I'll slow down. Mom just called. She told us to head home immediately. Something happened. Why didn't she call me? Chloe asked, a little taken aback. Your phone was off. Upon hearing this, Chloe picked up her phone and looked at it. Thomas was right. Her phone was completely out of juice. Didn't Mom say what happened? What's the rush? Chloe seemed to have a feel of what happened. She said it was something amazing. Anyways, let's go home. Stella's already picked up the car. She's waiting for us downstairs. You can head down first. We'll be right there. Jack nodded. Upon hearing this, Thomas immediately ran out of the office. He could barely contain his excitement. After Thomas left, Jack and Chloe glanced at each other in unison. Honey. He's here, isn't he? Jack guessed. I knew this was going to happen. Chloe took a deep breath in. Don't worry, you'll have me. Jack knew how nervous Chloe was. Jack and Chloe left in their car shortly after Thomas and Stella left in theirs. Sky Blessing Court. Chloe's eyes fixated on a familiar figure as soon as she walked through her mother's door. He was sitting on the couch with a blank expression on his face. But that face, that figure, those clothes, that was, without a doubt, Uncle James. Chloe had lived with this man for more than a decade, so naturally she knew him very well. Although this situation was extremely suspicious, Chloe couldn't help but choke back tears upon seeing James' face. "Uncle James," she whispered. Jack, on the other hand, didn't know James very well. He had only met him a handful of times back when they were still in school. "Dad!" Thomas ran up to James and knelt down in front of him, tears streaming down his face. Stella was flabbergasted and didn't know what to do. She never factored in the possibility that one day she would meet Thomas's father, who had supposedly been dead for more than a decade. Sandra stood next to James, tears streaming down her face as well. James didn't say anything. He reached out and rubbed the top of Thomas's head. "Dad, I'm not dreaming, right? You're really back? You are, aren't you?" Thomas grabbed James's hand, unable to control his emotions. Jack didn't say a word since he walked in. He quietly placed his hands on Chloe's shoulders, hugging her close. "Do you remember who this is?" Sandra looked at James through teary eyes. "This is my son, Thomas." Uncle James finally opened his mouth to speak. His voice was the same, but the tone and his expression were weird. "Dad, it's really you! I've missed you so much! I missed you all this time!" Thomas wailed out like a little kid as tears streamed down his face like a broken faucet. James put his arms around Thomas. Bella sniffed as she watched this heartwarming reunion. Jack, however, looked at the scene in front of him calmly and cautiously. He knew that Chloe must be emotional as well, so he had to be the only sane one in the room. After a few minutes, Thomas calmed down a little and Sandra waved at Chloe. "Chloe, come here." Chloe walked towards James as Jack followed closely after. He was worried something would happen and he wouldn't be able to stop it. "James, do you remember who this is?" Sandra pointed at Chloe, choking back tears. James looked up at Chloe and his eyes gleamed. "Is this Chloe?" His response was more like an answer but left Chloe ever so emotional. She rushed up to him and grabbed the corner of his shirt, sobbing. "Uncle James, it's me, Chloe." "Chloe, you've grown up." At this comment, Sandra, Thomas, and Chloe all burst into tears. After a while, everyone finally began to calm down and gathered around the living room. "Mom, what happened?" Naturally, Chloe was going to ask questions. After all, it wasn't possible for a dead person to be resurrected. "Yeah, Mom. Where did you find Dad?" "Back then, you and I saw the corpse and buried him together." "How?" Thomas wondered as well. Sandra smiled as she looked over at James. "Why don't you tell the kids?" James nodded and said quietly, "The truth is, my memory isn't complete. When I woke up, I was on a small island in Europe. I didn't have any memories or ID on me, so no one knew where I came from. Slowly, I began to gain small pieces of my memory back, so I followed my memories and ended up here. Honestly, I don't know what happened. Maybe I resurrected, traveled through time, or ended up on another body. But I do know what I'm James, and you're my family. You are all that's left in my memory, and that's all I know." "How is that possible?" Thomas exclaimed in shock. Chloe, on the other hand, was much calmer. Jack listened quietly without saying anything. "I bumped into your dad at the market. Your dad was just standing there and Mr. H, our old neighbor and seafood vendor, recognized him immediately and called out his name. I rushed up to him, and it was really James, so I brought him home. I realized that he had lost a lot of his memories, but still remembered small things like my birthday, where our old home was, and the names of our neighbors. God has brought your father back to me," Sandra said emotionally. "Uncle James, how did you come back to the country all the way from Europe? I thought you didn't have any ID with you." Jack looked at James and asked, word for word. After James heard the question, he responded slowly, "Oh, here's what happened. I found the country's consulate and told them what happened. They looked into the records and realized that I was telling the truth, so they reissued a passport to me, which allowed me to come back to the country. The truth is, I don't have any memories of what happened before I woke up, but I came back as soon as I recalled you guys. I looked up similar experiences on the internet. It's happened before. There was a man who died, and his soul ended up inside a young child. That young child had the exact same memories and used those memories to find his family. Overseas experts believe in the notion of multiple lives on Earth. I heard that the most experienced hypnotist can help a person remember what happened to them 9 lives ago. Uncle James, you sure did your homework, Jack smiled. His words obviously suggested something, but Thomas and Sandra were too excited to understand those hidden meanings. My God, I really can't believe that you're actually alive. People will think that we faked your death, Sandra said as she grabbed James's hand. So, Dad, I really did see you outside the Civil Affairs Bureau? Thomas suddenly recalled what happened a few days ago. Yeah, I went looking for you guys at the old house as soon as I came back, but I heard that the area was demolished, so I didn't know where else to go. Until I bumped into old H and your mom at the market the other day, James answered as he placed a hand on the back of Sandra's hand. Sis, this is amazing news. We have to celebrate our dad's return. Thomas and Sandra were deliriously happy. Chloe nodded with a smile on her face. Of course we should celebrate. This is great. You guys hang out here. I'll go make some dumplings, Sandra said as she shot up from the couch and ran into the kitchen. Dad, I'll make you some tea. I remember how you loved to drink Iron Buddha. Back then we were poor and didn't have the money to buy high-quality oolong tea, but we're rich now, and Sis always brings fancy tea home. You should have some, Thomas said as he got up to brew tea for James. Stella also stood up to help her mother-in-law in the kitchen. Honey, we brought wine here, remember? We should get some so you and Uncle James can have a drink during dinner. Okay, I'll go right now. I'll come with you. There's food in the trunk. Chloe looked for an excuse for her and Jack to flee the scene. After walking out of the townhouse, Jack activated an anti-bug device before nodding at Chloe. They were safe to talk now. Honey, I looked at his face. He wasn't wearing a mold. Fiona told me how to figure out if someone is wearing a face mold by looking at the area behind their ears. I did, but he wasn't wearing one. So you really think he's Uncle James? Jack asked her. Of course not. I don't believe that people can really be resurrected. So if he's really Uncle James, who was the corpse we buried at North Hill Cemetery? Chloe answered with a sneer. Just as expected, this man showed up twice beforehand and avoided the cameras on purpose so we couldn't track him. Then, he shows up at your mother's place on purpose to play out this sappy reunion scene. This is too weird. Chloe, we have to be careful. Our enemies are too strong. I feel like we can't even begin to imagine how dangerous of a situation we're in. Jack warned Chloe as his grip tightened around her hand. I know, honey, I feel the same way. What if you left this to me? I'm worried that I won't be able to do it because I still feel guilty about what happened to Uncle James? Chloe finished the rest of Jack's sentence. The latter responded with silence. Chloe closed the distance between Jack and herself, stroking his handsome face. Honey, I'll be fine. I know that the man who treated me like his own daughter died more than 10 years ago. The man in front of me, no matter how alike, is not and will never be Uncle James. He smells like danger. I bet if I asked him a couple more detailed questions, he'll screw up. I was worried when I saw you act like that just now, Jack said. You were worried that I was brainwashed? What happened just now was for his sake. I want him to think that I really think he's James. Smart, honey. Jack sighed in relief. Honey, I'll divert him and Thomas so you get a chance to talk to Stella alone. When you do, can you tell her to stay at Sky Blessing Court with Mom and him for now? So she can monitor him and protect Mom and Thomas? Chloe nodded. Will Stella be okay with such a heavy task? Honey, don't worry. I'm sure he didn't come all the way here to destroy my family. He won't do anything so rashly. You have a point. I'll talk to Bella when I get a chance. Stella's calm and smart, so you don't have to go into too much detail. Make sure my mom and that man don't overhear you, Chloe reminded me. I'm worried about your mom and how she'll react once she finds out he's not James. In Jack's mind, the worst thing that can happen to a person is to think someone's still alive when they aren't. Who was behind this trap? How did they manage to create someone that looked exactly like James? Plastic surgery? Either way, this was nothing but a giant conspiracy. Definitely not God's gift to their family. After their secret chat, Chloe and Jack went back to the townhouse with wine and fruit to see Sandra and Stella place steaming hot dumplings on the dining table. Uncle James, do you still remember what kind of dumplings we usually make? Chloe asked casually. James froze for 5 seconds before answering. Leek and shrimp. Dad, you still remember. It's like time has never passed us by. Thomas truly believed that his father was back, especially since he answered Chloe's question correctly. So the family of 5 sat down around the table to eat dumplings. Sandra kept putting food on James's plate. Here, have some more. This is enough. I can't eat all that. James looked down with a smile and took a bite of dumpling. Uncle James, were you alone when you woke up in Europe? Weren't there other people? Jack asked nonchalantly. Nope, no one. That's weird. How did you end up thousands of miles away? I wonder who brought you there, Jack said loudly so everyone could hear. Maybe a streak of lightning took my dad there after he resurrected. Isn't that how it happens in novels? Oh, right. Didn't Dad die in a car accident? Maybe his soul left his body, haha. Chloe responded with a smile. But this is reality. Life isn't as ludicrous as a novel. Upon hearing this, James's hand paused above a plate of dumplings, his expression a little complicated. Okay, let's talk about something else. Eat, everyone! Sandra wasn't interested in this topic, so she urged everyone to eat. Chloe didn't bring up this topic again. So, Dad, you're staying here tonight, right? Thomas asked happily. Of course he's staying here. This is home. Sandra smiled. Thomas, you and Stella should stay as well. There's enough room here. Plus, you'll have more time to hang out with Uncle James. Chloe took this opportunity to ask Thomas and Stella to move in. Yes, that's a great idea. Dad, you're okay with us staying here, right? Thomas put his arms around James. Haha, of course I am. James smiled. Chloe could tell that his smile was forced and awkward. On their way home from Sky Blessing Court, Chloe didn't say anything. Honey, are you okay? Jack looked at Chloe with concern. Yeah. What's on your mind? I was thinking maybe I should do a DNA test on Uncle James and find out who he is. A DNA test? You got... Jack stopped halfway through his sentence. He knew his wife well, and from her tone it was obvious that she already took a sample of him. Chloe raised her hand with a smile, showing off a strand of short black hair. Good job, honey. How did you manage? Jack was in awe of Chloe's wits, and the fact that she got a sample from James without anyone noticing, even him. Once they have proof, they will be able to explain to Sandra and Thomas that this person was not James. So why do you look so worried? Jack tilted his head. Chloe looked like she had a lot on her mind. Honey, do you really think whoever's behind this will let something as amateur as a DNA test unravel their entire plan? If so, why would they go through the trouble of finding someone that looks exactly like James? So you think, I'm just worried that the results will be different from our expectations. Jack reached out and placed his hand on Chloe's leg. Calm down. No one can alter DNA. What a giant biological joke do you think it will be that were the case? I am calm, don't worry. Chloe was still quiet even after they arrived at home. Finally, Jack decided that she should talk to Fiona. After carefully placing anti-bug and anti-tracking devices in his study, Jack dialed Fiona's number just as Chloe walked in wearing a nightdress. Honey, what's up? Jack didn't respond. He stood up and placed an earphone on Chloe's ear, and a familiar voice sounded. Sis! Fiona! Chloe smiled earnestly upon hearing Fiona's voice. Sis, it's late. Why aren't you asleep yet? I haven't been sleeping well and wake up 1,000,000 times each night. You're almost due, that's why. Sis, do you miss me? You're kidding me, right? Of course I miss you, Chloe scolded Fiona, but the corners of her mouth lifted into a big smile. I miss you so much, too. How about this? I'll come visit you when you're about to pop. No, Chloe refused immediately. Why not? Are you worried that I'll mooch off you? I don't eat that much. Just some lobster, shark fin, and king crab per day, that's all I need, Fiona joked. It's not that. I'm worried that you'll put yourself in harm's way. Jack once told Chloe that Fiona was in trouble as well. Plus, rumor had it that she was the one who kidnapped Elsie, and Secretary Rue placed a bounty over her head, promising unimaginable cash to anyone who kills Fiona. As long as Fiona was abroad, she was still safe and able. However, she might be a grave danger if someone found out that she returned to the country. It would be like knowingly walking into a giant trap. You're worried about that old man, right? Don't worry, I'm not scared of him or people more powerful than he is. His brain isn't working properly. I've never even laid hands on Elsie, so why would I believe what other people say? Fiona didn't seem to care about Secretary Rue. He even joked around with Chloe. Sis, do Pudding and Little Bean miss me? They do. Little Bean mentions you a lot in conversation, and although Pudding's quieter, I've seen her look at your Snap conversations from time to time. I'm going to cry from happiness. Fiona smiled at the thought of her beautiful nieces. Fiona, have you talked to Dad lately? How's he doing? Chloe often thought about Professor Wagner. After all, he wasn't a young man anymore, and she felt bad that he had to live a life on the run. I haven't talked to him in a while, but I'm sure he's fine because I haven't received any emergency signals from him. Don't worry, he's smarter than me. He'll be fine. Good. Take care of yourself, and tell Dad to take care of himself, okay? Chloe reminded Fiona anyways. Sis, once I finish dealing with shit here, I'll come visit you. Take care of yourself. Don't run around without Jack, okay? I will. Chloe smiled through her tears. Honey, Jack reminded her gently. The longer they talked, the higher the chances that their conversation may be exposed. Chloe immediately understood what Jack meant and said, Don't bully Riker. Be good to him, okay? Don't fight all the time, drink lots of water, and don't eat anything cold when you're on your period. Most importantly, don't get hurt. Then, although there was a lot she still wanted to say, Chloe hung up the phone. She took a deep breath in and looked up, tears shining in her eyes. Honey, was I being naggy? Fiona must be super sick of me. You weren't. You're the best sister anyone can ever ask for. Jack closed the distance between himself and Chloe, cupped her cheeks, and gave her a deep kiss. Chloe always treated her family with utmost attention, and she was so cute when she did it. On the other end of the phone, Fiona slowly removed her headphones from her ears. She knew her sister hung up because she didn't have any more time. Whatever Chloe didn't say, however, rushed towards her like a sauna, warming her up like a gush of hot air. No one had ever told her that she shouldn't eat cold things when she was on her period. That was why she always suffered the worst cramps. Of course, small things like this never really bothered her. After all, she was the kind of person who wouldn't fall even if she was shot twice in a row. What's up? You look weird. Riker walked up to Fiona, noticing the blank expression on her face. My sis just drones on and on. Fiona snapped back to reality. She rubbed the back of her head with a laugh. Riker couldn't help but stare at Fiona. He was constantly charmed by her cuteness and energy. Hey, Psycho Riker, what are you doing? Suddenly, Riker hurled himself towards Fiona, burying her in a deep kiss that lasted what seemed like a lifetime. Fiona was now used to being intimate with Riker, so she didn't push him away violently like she used to. Municipal Public Bureau. It was time to go home. Noah gathered his stuff and was just about to leave when he saw Octavia, whom he hadn't seen in days. Director Ace! Octavia, you're back. Noah smiled unnaturally. I was sent to bring over some evidence. I miss the people here. Octavia smiled coyishly. Anyone without their guard would immediately far for her smile. Director Ace, Octavia bought us coffee too. One of the female police waved a Starbucks cup over her head. Director Ace, this is for you. Octavia shyly handed a cup of coffee to Noah. Oh, I haven't been sleeping well, so no thanks on the coffee. Thank you for thinking of me. Noah was more reluctant than ever to talk to this woman, especially since he figured out her true colors. The cuter Octavia acted, the scarier she seemed. Noah decided that his wife was the best. Although Sarah had a temper, she was real. He wouldn't be able to stand it if the woman he lived with wore a mask her entire life. At this thought, Noah shuddered. Director Ace, when I left, I was in a bad mood and didn't have a chance to say goodbye to everyone. No one's working overtime today, so I was wondering if I could treat everyone to dinner. Of course, if you don't come, this dinner probably won't happen. Octavia made a threat sound innocent and cute. However, Noah knew that if he didn't agree to having dinner with everyone, Octavia would refuse to treat. Upon hearing this, everyone looked at Noah with anticipation. Director Ace, you'll agree, right? Yeah, Director Ace, let's go let off some steam. Things have been so tense at the Bureau. Director Ace, let's go. Director Ace, let's split the bill. There's too many people. We shouldn't ask Octavia to treat us all. It was obvious that the rest of the team adored Octavia. At this point, Noah would seem like a bad boss if he didn't agree to have dinner with everyone. Therefore, after a moment of silence, he nodded. Okay, let's have dinner, but I'll treat. Awesome. Then we'll have to order everything on the menu. Director Ace never treats. The team was elated by Noah's decision, and Octavia smiled in satisfaction. Then Noah texted Sarah. Honey, are you there? I am. The team is having dinner together. I'll be home late. Okay. The truth was, Noah wanted to tell Sarah that Octavia was coming as well. However, he was worried that his wife might be worried again. Therefore, after some thought, he decided to leave this piece of information. Sarah, on the other hand, agreed for him to go immediately because she genuinely thought that it was just a team dinner. Including Noah and Octavia, a total of 27 people went to have dinner at a Sichuan restaurant. During dinner, Octavia behaved herself quite well. She didn't even flirt with Noah, leaving the latter to drop his guard. After some time, Noah stood up to go to the washroom. Octavia saw him leaving and stood up thereafter, following him out of the room. Thanks for tuning in to the Cool Audio Podcast. If you enjoyed the story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share with a fellow story lover. Until next time, stay cool and keep listening.